welcome to Welcome to Jackie's Lyric Corner. I am Jackie, and I decided to film a bookish update since in a couple days, Christmas will be starting, and we are going to have family in town. So it's gonna be kind of crazy. And this was my day off before the Christmas festivities begin. I mean, it won't officially, they probably won't come until Friday, but I have work tomorrow and Friday, my 11 to 5, which that's actually, at least I have a set time for, I'm always 11 to 5. But at the same time, it means that I have a few hours in the morning, but then I get home late in the evening. And, of course, around this time of year, it gets dark very early. So I don't, now I'm not someone who has sundowners. But in fact, I'm always, when people are talking about, oh my God, it's so cold now. And because with North Carolina, our winter, they don't have they have more of, it's the South. So even though it's North Carolina, it's farther down. So their winters are not as long. They're more of summer. So when it drastically gets cold here, then it's like, oh my God, what do? We can't handle this. And I'm always saying, oh, I love the cold. I love that it's finally cold. I mean, when I'm not dressed for it, yeah, I agree. It's kind of a pain when I'm not prepared for it. But most I'm like, this is how it's supposed to be around this time of year. I was expecting November, and it didn't get cold until halfway through November. So, this is how it's supposed to be. Unless you live in, a warmer climate all the time. And it still gets cold here. It's just not as cold as, farther up north. But yeah, so I wanted to, I wanted to film today while I was off. And I didn't have anything to worry about. So, I just finished Mordu by Alex Phoebe. I did my review, and I just realized that I did forget that there's to mention in my review that there's a glossary in the book that explains what words are, but it's a lot of pages. Glossaries are always super long, so a lot of times I skip them. I, was gonna read it, but then as I was reading, I realized how long it was. I was like, forget it. I'm okay. I don't need to look at the glossary. But anyway, this was really good. I very much enjoyed it. Like you said, I did a review for it. So, although I feel like my review was not as it didn't flow. It was not as as fluent, I feel like. But I figure, while it's fresh in my mind, I'll do my review. So I did that. And, so if you want to know more about my thoughts on this book, then check out that review. It will be uploaded. I just filmed it, so it's not up yet, but it will be. I reread the first 10 chapters of Noli Tangere. I still don't know how to pronounce this. I'm only a quarter Filipino, so I do not know the language. So I don't know how I'm saying this. And I have asked my grandma how to say it, but I forgot what she said. So, but this is by Jose Rizal, who is very famous in the Philippines. He's kind of a savior type figure, as my grandma said. And, this is about a very turbulent political time in the Philippines. Set in the 19th and 20th centuries. So I think this is around the time the Spaniards were kind of running the country. I don't know a lot about the history. I'll have to, one of the nonfiction books I got on the Philippines was the history of it. The history of the Philippines. So, but I wanted to read this because this is a classic. And I started it and then put it down for a long period of time, and to the point where I decided to restart it. So I'm not as up to date as when I was when I updated the first time I read the first few chapters of this. So I need to read a little bit more this evening before dinner. Well, I'm not that hungry because I had a late lunch. But it's very interesting. Like, it starts with this Captain Tiago throwing this gathering, this party, and a bunch of important people are there, including these two padres, Father Sibla and Father Damasio, who I don't think he's someone you're supposed to like. He's kind of arrogant and very much, what I say is right kind of mentality. And he kind of has Captain Tiago in his pocket, I feel like. But there's also a subplot of Captain Tiago's daughter. She was betrothed to this young man who his father was a friend of Captain Tiago's, I believe. And he got involved in a lot of political stuff. And you find out that he got involved. You don't really know why he had gotten involved in this mistaken situation that got him in big trouble, got him in jail. And his son was away in Europe at the time. So his son didn't even know. But I think I don't remember. I think he chose to take the law into his own hand type of situation and punish this guy who was harming this kid. Although the kid annoyed him a little bit, not the father, but the other guy. I don't remember, dang it. But anyway, so the son finds out his father died, so that's why he comes back. And then he ends up going to see his betrothed, Captain Yaga's daughter, who, never gave up on him and was waiting for him to come back for her, so they could get married. And they're just, and the last part I read was them talking. Oh, and Captain Tiago and Father Damasio talking as well. That's the last. So yeah, it's very interesting. I feel like I need to read a little bit more to really give you a good plot description of this. But yeah, it's like I said, stories about politics, like, politics from the past or fantasy politics or medieval politics is so much more interesting to me than modern politics, than what's going on in the world today. At least reading about it in fiction. But yeah, so I picked this one. So and then the last book I started, the other book was In the Heart of the Sea, The Tragedy of the Whaleship Essex by Nathaniel Philibrick. This is actually an actual event in history that inspired Herman Melville and Moby Dick, this particular tragedy. And the author Philbrick had looked at all the memoirs, biographies written by the cabin boy Thomas Nickerson of the Whaleship Essex, and there was also something written by the first mate, Owen Chase. So, but I think a lot of the information in the book is mostly from Thomas Nickerson. So the first chapter is we kind of learn about the lifestyle being part of, of being a whaleship sailor and being part of the, either being the child of a sailor on a whale ship, or being married to someone who is on a whale ship. But I definitely would not recommend if you are one of those people who's like, I'm a vegetarian and I don't want anyone to hurt animals at all. Because it gets, we are told how they catch the whales and what they do to them. You're very much told, details about that. And like for Thomas and his friends, it was a very interesting experience because, you know, compared to how things were outside of being on the ship and just being on land and hanging out, then they get there and they're treated like sailors and bossed around and like not treated pleasantly but harshly at times. But it is interesting to read. And like I think it will be a lot. I do want to see the movie adaptation with Chris Hemsworth. But it will be hard to watch if we actually see them catching the whales and see what they do to the whales. Like if I actually see it, not just in my mind, but if I actually like see it on a movie or something, then yeah, it's gonna be like, oh wow, I don't want to see that. But it did. Well, I guess it won the National Book Award for nonfiction. Oh, that's cool. Which is cool. But yeah, I'm probably gonna read a little bit of that tonight. Okay, so I wanted to show you my most recent purchases. Now, I wasn't sure if I showed you guys this book that I got back in November, but I got Tales from the Perilous Realm by Tolkien. This is a collection of stories. So kind of like the Unfinished Tales, with illustrations by Alan Lee. Which, so the fact that it's paperback, the only problem with paperbacks is that even if you get the illustrations, they're not colored. The hardbacks you get the colored illustrations. So that's the only thing with, getting paperbacks. So, but it's, it's like, are the colored illustrations that important to spend? Because to spend money on a hardback, like, that's what you gotta decide. Because, I mean, hardbacks cost a little bit more, obviously, because a lot more goes into it, to a hardback book. But, so you gotta decide, is it worth, are the colored illustrations worth that? For me, it's not, and I don't even know if there was a hardback copy of this, but, yeah, it's still a little sad, but it's not worth spending the, like, $30 for a hardback book, in the case of a place like Books A Million. Like, of course, if I'm getting it at a used bookshop, then yeah, it's not going to be $30, so I would be more willing to get a hardback book at a used bookshop. Unlike, well, in this case, at a Books A Million, I'm sticking to paperback. Like at Books A Million or Barnes & Noble. So it's not important, but I do like the colored illustrations. I do love them and they're beautiful, but it's still, the illustrations are still in there. They're just not colored. They're sketches, black and white sketches, pencil sketches. Oh, well, this poem is not going to be that hard. This particular one isn't that hard. But anyway, I am happy to have this to add to my Tolkien collection. And as I've said before, I would love to establish a Tolkien shelf. I'm slowly growing it with the help of Terry, for instance. And again, I've also said this before, that it's funny that now I've been surrounded by Tolkien and Lord of the Rings for years, and now I'm finally getting into it to the point of where I want to get the books. Have the works written by Tolkien and start a collection. So I just didn't know if I showed you guys this book or not. But anyway, so the book I ended up buying today was one that I had the mass market copy of it. And at the time, I was thinking, it's been so long, and I hadn't picked up the book in this particular trilogy yet. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to move on from this author. I'm not going to continue with them. But then my Books really started selling the regular size paperbacks of this author's books. Now, they didn't have a lot of them. They still had more mass markets than this size, but I was very excited. I was like, I'm going to grab it. especially because I don't know, what books I can buy. That were on, which ones I put on my list, or my wish list. And then also, sometimes it's like I miss out on the opportunity to get a certain version of a book if I don't buy it as soon as I see it. And that is Robin Hobb's Ship of Magic, the first book in the Live Ship Trainer series. And I did enjoy the Farseer trilogy, the first trilogy. I have not read the next trilogy yet, the Tawny Man trilogy. Because this is actually the next series they recommend you read with all her books. And I figure, not that mass market books are that hard to read. I'm exaggerating when I complain about the minuscule print and everything. But it's kind of nice to read a bigger book with more, granted, I'm not someone who, is really rough with my books. I'll break the spines at most, but I'm not, throwing them around or anything. Some of my Mistborn, the first era, and then this book are still in mass markets, but I did remove this from my shelf. And I have been debating what I was going to do about, if I was going to get, either listen to this on audiobook, just take this book and put in the donation pile, and then either listen to an audiobook or the ebook. I was still kind of trying to decide. So I just removed it off my shelf to make room. But then it's one of these things where I look at the book and I'm like, that I am reminded of the book when I start looking at it and flipping through the pages. So, but I did see it on my Kindle. So I might just end up getting it on e-reader. Or I might go ahead and read this one. And, I don't know when I would get the ebook. Because, it's still going to be, I'm still counting it to my, budget. So it's like, I gotta, be careful if I want to go to Books A Million. Or the Roast Officer's Alliance, So, I don't know. I might read some of it, and then, maybe get it on ebook. I don't know. But anyway, so I bring that up because, all my Robin Hobb books were in ebook format. And there's nothing wrong with ebook form. Not ebook, mass market format, the mass market size. And there's nothing wrong. And like I said, I'm probably exaggerating when I say I don't like reading them. But I've just been spoiled by this size book. So I'm happy to have this. And you know what? I might start reading this sooner rather than later. Because I'm trying to make sure I read, that I read books before, when I buy them soon, instead of leaving them sitting there for a year or longer. Just read them when I buy them, or at least, read them without having too much time in between my purchases. I love it has a new book smell. I also just love the cover designs of these, because it looks like a medieval manuscript design on it with this, or in this case, it looks like there's a map on the background. Plus, the other thing is my copy of the last book is not the same design as the other mass markets that I have of the third book. So, but yeah, I'm gonna slowly buy these. But I'm so happy that I have this. And also, let me just show you two more things about that. We're not books per se, but I just want to show them. So first, I saw these at TJ Maxx. I love these. These are Shrek socks. So I was Shrek Christmas. I'm so happy. I'll probably, wear these on Christmas. I'm so happy to have these. I've also been I keep debating about buying, it's already coming off, the tags are, I know, Harry Potter Ravenclaw socks that are, you know, regular size, like this size. But every time I see them, I miss the opportunity because I'm still debating. It's like, do I want to get them or not? So next time, yeah, I want to. I mean, I do have ones that knee-high ones, a knee-high pair, and then I have the footy pair. But anyway, yep. So I want to get these. So I got these today. And then I got this the other day when I was doing some Christmas shopping. I just like the look. As I've gotten older, I like the more. I've been drawn more to the more professional looking notebooks that are more like less cutesy. Kind of like, although sometimes, you know, like my notebook for when we were going for our London trip, it had to be a certain, you know, because my mom was worried about me having a book that was had too much weight, because, you know, they say when you make those, you don't want to carry too much when you go on those trips, those type of trips across, you know, to different countries. You don't want to have too much to carry. So she was trying to help me find one that it didn't weigh as much. And unfortunately, we were limited to our choices, and I had looked at the dollar store, and of course, the dollar store does not have, the problem with the dollar store is, yeah, it's cheap, but it's not the best selection of everything. So, like, I've gotten a couple books from there, and then later I ended up never reading them. Although, I just looked at the last two books I ever purchased at the dollar store, and I am thinking about picking them up because, I mean, they don't have a bad rating on Goodreads. Like, average rating, I should say. So I'm gonna, read them in January. But anyway, so it was still kind of, had a bright colored design and everything. So it wasn't my first choice. Like, I would have preferred something more like this. Because I just like this, I'm starting to like this kind of more, academic, more serious aesthetic, more professional looking aesthetic, over the more fancy, pretty colors and flowers and stuff like that. I mean, I still like that, but sometimes it's kind of nice to have something that looks a little more mature, if that makes sense. But anyway, this comes with a pen, which that got me excited. I thought that was kind of cool, that nice little fancy gold pen. The only thing it does say is teacher's notes. I did see a blue one today when we went there, and but it had prayer on it. So I just was like, oh, I like the color, but then I was like, you know what, I'll stick to the one I have. I mean, I already bought it, and I bought it, So I did have a bit of a ribbon, but the ribbon came off. This red ribbon was on it, but it ended up coming off. But it's not something I really need to go with it. And then today, along with the socks and then some Christmas gifts, I also was like, got these because I really like these gel pens. And some of mine that I have from before are running out of ink. So, and these are kind of darker colors, more earthy tones. I mean, the yellows you still might not see any of the yellows, but, yeah, I like this. I guess this is a very good brand, King Art Earth Tone Gel Pens. And I guess they're known for making a lot of art tools and stuff like that. And by King Art. But I'm not an artist, I just wanted to get the pens. So, because I cannot draw worth my life. But anyway, I really liked the earth tones. Especially, I always like green, especially olive green. It's one of my favorite colors. Although, unfortunately, they did not have. I did look today, although, since I buying nail polish and wanting to paint my nails again more often, I've been looking to look for a green nail polish, but they only have like neon green. or other shades of green, but they never have a darker green, and that's why I'm always looking for that darker olive tone green. And I can never find it. But anyway, so yeah, so I just wanted to show you that. So anyway, that is how things are. How my reading is right now. I'm gonna probably read, like I said, I'm gonna read a little bit of Noli, Tangere, I don't. And then maybe in bed I'll probably, before I fall asleep, I'll read In the Heart of the Sea. And then, like I said, the good news is I don't have any books that I'm like I'm close to getting done, because I wanted to I wanted to have more to finish before the Christmas, before Christmas gets here, and before, we have family coming to town. I wanted to get that done because I didn't want to be like feeling as if, I'm so close to the end, but I can't read it right now and finish the book because, so much is going on with Christmas and everything, and we have family here. So I wanted to get it done before that all starts, so I wouldn't have to worry about it. Because if all these other books, I'm not that far along, I'm not almost done with them, so it's okay with that case. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already and you're interested in watching more of my videos, and click the bell notification button if you want to be notified when I post later videos. And I hope you're enjoying your reading. If you celebrate Christmas, I hope you have a great Christmas, because like I said, I'm probably not going to make any more videos until after Christmas. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you are enjoying winter, and I will talk to y'all later. All right, bye.